Is it just me, or does it feel like this entire organization, like we've been in the upside down in Stranger Things? Because it feels like we've never had more uncertainty than we have right now with this team. This incredibly up and down, schizophrenic, friggin' multiple personality, Arizona Cardinals team. Let's talk about it, folks. Welcome back to Cardinals Daily. I made a law. Hit that tab. Wow, hit that sub, tap that like, ring that bell, leave a comment. Let's get right to it. Um, let's get to defensive woes. The problem we had against the Colts, as we all know, the offense showed up for the first time pretty much the season, and the defense decided to collapse once again in the fourth quarter. Nick Rouse's group has been solid for 3 quarters, pretty much every game. Now, they've been physical. They've been disciplined. They've shown flashes of real promise. But when the fourth quarter rolls around, that defense just tanks. And it's like someone flipped the switch, and suddenly all fundamentals vanish. We can't tackle. We can't cover. We can't stop anybody. Everyone's one arm, arm tackling or ankle tackling or doing some, garbage, type of, defensive play. But I'll give him credit. He keeps his cool, right? He talks about, quote, solving problems in a 60-minute game. But at what point is that going to get old? Are we done as fans? Are we done hearing that? Right? Every single game is like effort. They put in effort. They fought hard. They worked really hard, and they lost. At some point, these results got to show up, right? And it has to happen, right? You got to stop solving and start stopping the opponents. You got to start stopping the opponent's offense. And especially with the super close games, we keep losing because that's why we're losing. We can't find a way to stop them in the fourth quarter. Through 6 games, the Cardinals defense has faced like 20 fourth quarter possessions or so, like only 2 punts, and those came in week 1. And since then, it's been since that week 1 game, it's been like 11 scores, like 6 touchdowns, 5 field goals, 2 picks, 2 turnovers on downs, and a whole lot of pain. And that means in crunch time, when you need the defense the most, teams are moving the ball at will. That is not bad luck. That is a trend, right? And the first 3 quarters, solid, right? Metrics back that up. They play tight, they communicate well, and they look like a competent NFL defense. The fourth quarter, it's like watching a dam spring that leaks, right? One drive after another, just suddenly the game's slipping away from us. And you can't keep putting that on the offense either because they showed up in Indianapolis, right? Jacoby Brissett in the offense actually showed up. 27 points should have been enough to win that game. Instead, JT, Jonathan Taylor was running wild and, right down our throats. The back end was getting cooked. Now, to be fair, Rouse and Gannon, they're working with patchwork right now. Young corners, and Will Johnson and Denzel Burke, and even Max Melton's still a young guy. There's injuries left and right on this entire team, right? Garrett Williams is still, I believe, still injured. I think he's just coming back from IR, I want to say. I can't remember off the top of my head. But either way, we're still, even then, he's a young guy, right? The blitz rate is low. It makes you wonder if they're allergic to pressure sometimes. And they're playing soft zone. They're keeping things in front. But when fatigue sets in and the pass rush slows down, the lack of aggressiveness gets exposed. So it's got to be philosophical. This defense isn't designed to dominate. We're not the Steelers, the Steel Curtain, or even the Steelers of the 2010 Steelers or the 2008 Steelers. It's designed to bend but not break, right? The problem in the fourth quarter, they're breaking like eggs dropped from the 15th floor. And Cannon's quote says it all, quote, "We've been in these close games now. To win them, we have to do a little bit better," end quote. That's coach speak for we're close, but we're not good enough. All right, he's being nice about it. All right, which is funny coming off the fake tough guy bull that he just tried to pull the other day with Amari DeMarcado. But either way, that's a story for another day. Close doesn't count in the NFL. Ask fan base how they feel about almost winning 6 straight games. Here's the thing. You can't build a winning culture when your defense keeps folding late. Rouse is supposed to be this young defensive mind, the next big thing. But right now, his group looks gassed. They're reactive and overly conservative in clutch moments. Almost like they're scared to move sometimes. Either too tired to move or they're scared to move. Now, when Gannon praises the best pass rush performance of the year, but immediately follows it with the back end didn't hold up, man, is that not the story of the season? Right? One half of the unit does its job, the other one doesn't. We just can't get the entire team to be on the same page at all. And that's why this upcoming game against the Packers is massive. Jordan Love's torches before. He did it once already. If they let it happen again, it's not just about missed tackles, it's about accountability. Whose feet do we need to hold to the fire? Rouse doesn't need to solve problems over 60 minutes. He needs to close. He needs to find that killer instinct this defense needs to stop and finish games, close them. This defense doesn't need to be elite, just clutch. In the fourth quarter, get one stop. One fourth quarter stop. One big play. That's the difference between 1-5 and 3-3, right? Even 4-2, you could argue. But until they figure that out, the Cardinals will keep playing close and they keep losing close. And eventually, we're right there. It starts being encouraging and starts being an indictment. You just look at the Kansas City Chiefs played on Monday. And they ended up winning the game at the end. I'm not even going to bother talking to you guys about the refs. If you guys watch the game, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But they were a loss away from being the same record as us. Okay? I mean, before our game on Sunday, both teams were 2-3. They're 2-3-time world champions, whatever it is, and we're not, and still somehow the same record. But they figured out how to close the game. Now, again, argue about the refs later on, but they're starting to figure out. Spags are starting to figure out that defense, how to close games and everything, right? Chris Jones aside, because that guy just seems like he doesn't even want to play anymore. But that's for another topic for a different podcast, honestly. So either way, we need to figure out, find a way to win, because as other teams have shown, having that ability to close games is the difference between making the playoffs and missing the playoffs. Plain and simple. We do not have a lack of talent. We have a lack of cohesiveness, a lack of identity, a lack of culture still. And if we don't find those things, you got to hit the reset button as an entire coaching staff. You really do, right? And honestly, Kyler. But we'll talk about that here in a couple of segments here, because I want to talk about Brian Callahan getting fired by the Tennessee Titans. If you guys remember, they're the one that they look. So Callahan gets canned by the Titans, right? I think yesterday or Sunday. Let's be honest. Actually, no, it was Tuesday. Tuesday, my bad. Yesterday, yeah. Let's be honest. Nobody's shocked, right? You start 1-5, your offensive loss, your young quarterback isn't developing, he might be even regressing a little bit. He's not playing at all like he did in Miami, and the locker room's tuning you out. Yeah, the clock runs out fast in this league. If you don't get results, it's game. But here's where it hits close to home. In my mind, I just feel like this is exactly the kind of situation the Arizona Cardinals need to pay attention to. Right? The Titans thought they had this young offensive mind who could rebuild from the ground up. Sound familiar? And that's the same pitch Gannon and Petzing sold us when they came here, and even last year, trying to showing us the times we're going to improve. We got Robert Harrison Jr. now and all that stuff. Callahan came in with hype, fresh off working with Joe Burrow in Cincinnati, quarterback whisperer, right? An innovator. The same BS they said about Cliff Kingsbury. But that NFL doesn't care about resumes. You can't sell potential when your team looks broken every Sunday. And that's where Arizona's teetering. Gannon saying all the same things Callahan did. We're close. We're competing. We're putting in effort. We're fixing problems over 60 minutes. That's the stuff. But at some point, you got to win the games. That's what it's about. It's the only reason we're showing up on Sundays. Right? The Titans gave Callahan not even 3 seasons to not even they didn't even give him a full season with Cam Ward. Right? Because there was no progress. They waited till it was 1-5. You could have done this last week before, right? But that win over Arizona kind of bought him another week or two, and that was that. And look, this was going to happen in Arizona if the coaching staff keeps stacking these moral victories instead of real ones. I only mentioned it because we're supposed to destroy the Titans, and instead we took a very embarrassing loss. And that seems to have set the tone for the entire rest of the season. Right? Think about it. The Titans, whose own victories against us, have fired their quarterback whisperer, which is hilarious. That's one of the dumbest terms in sports, quarterback whisperer. Can we get an offensive coordinator whisperer? Do they make those? An OC whisperer? Just go up to Petzing's ear and be like, you suck. Call a different play. Stop doing run plays on 3rd and 12, you moron. We could use one of those whisperers, please, somebody. But if you think about it, these teams are very different, right? Incompetent staffs, quarterback questions, inconsistent offenses, defenses that break. And somehow no one's talking about axing Gannon or Petzing. I want to talk about axing, getting rid of Gannon because he's standing up for Petzing, right? Like he's standing up for Petzing every week, and it's just like, at what point are you gonna look at the problem and be like, nah, yeah, that's that dude. Could honestly say, part of it's Kyler too, but even then against Indianapolis, there was the 3rd and 8 or 3rd and whatever it was, and Drew Petzing goes, yeah, it's a cold run, man. I never see it coming. They got stuffed. I think it might have been a tackle for a loss, but either way. NFL doesn't do long leashes with rebuilds anymore, right? If the Titans can pull the plug on Callahan, not even a year into Cam Ward's first rookie season, what does that say about Gannon? He finishes with the piss-poor record and misses the playoffs again. I think he should go too, right? Callahan's firing isn't just a Titans headline; it's a warning shot to every coach trying to build a culture. You don't get forever to prove it's working. And the Cardinals might be fighting hard, but fans aren't interested in effort. We want results. We want wins because the Titans just reminded us. Effort gets you praised in the locker room and get you fired on Monday, right? Now, is Gannon and Pezzi part of the problem? Absolutely, right? Their whole philosophy clearly isn't working, or at least they're not buying into it yet, or maybe we don't have the right personnel here. And part of that might be Kyler Murray. So, what do you do with a guy like Kyler Murray if you don't want him on your team? He has a massive contract. He's got 2 years, I think, left. I think he's through 2028. So I think it's 2 more seasons, 3 more seasons, 2, whatever it was. Either way, he's got time here. He's got plenty of years left in his contract. But if you moved him, where do you move him to? That's the question I have, and I have an idea. So I have a few destinations I want to talk about. I'm gonna start with one today, right? And every couple of days I'll do another one. I got 5 total, right? Now, some don't make sense. They won't make sense. They say don't judge a book by its cover. You look at the cover and you're gonna be like, that's stupid. That makes no sense. What the hell is this guy talking about? And you might still say it after I'm done talking about it. But I got hope. I'm looking for a way out of this mess because it's over. It's not official. It's not on paper, but it damn sure feels over, man. The Kyler Murray era in Arizona has run its course. And look, that's not to hate on the guy because it's not. I tried defending him for years now, right? And it just seems like, I think maybe I'm wrong on this one because I thought for sure he could figure it out. 7 seasons in, 6 games in, he ain't figured it out, right? That's not hate. That's just the reality of the situation. Sometimes, no matter how much talent you have, the relationship just breaks down, right? You fall out of love with an organization falls out of love with a player, or vice versa. The trust is gone, and everyone just staying together for the kids, or in this case, a giant contract. So, you can make the case that last year his contract was team friendly because of what he was doing on the field. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't good, but it wasn't terrible. And if you see the kind of contracts that other quarterbacks are getting these days, even worse ones, like I will say this, Brock Purdy getting that contract is insane, but whatever. But at this point, in a game where winning is everything, that contract that Kyler has and his output, it just doesn't balance out. It doesn't equal out. It's not worth it. It's not enough. The questions that we have is, can we trade Kyler? Meaning, is anybody want to take a sub 6 foot quarterback, very mobile, highlight reel kind of guy, has a lot of different abilities that other quarterbacks, that almost no quarterback has, but has questionable decision making, panics when the pocket collapses, misses or ignores his first and second reads on most plays, it seems like, and has what I feel is a major attitude problem, a leadership problem too. So let's play the who wants Kyler Murray to be their quarterback and willing to pay us to take his contract on game. Okay. So my first team I'm going to bring up, and again, this is one of those you guys are going to look at me like I'm crazy, okay? And I might be, but I'm looking for a way out, folks. All right, I'm looking for it. The Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah, look, it's tough to imagine the Bengals trading for Kyler unless their GM's favorite Sunday nightcap drink gets spiked by, Bidwell and Monty Ossenfort. But hey, if the Dallas Mavericks traded Luka Doncic to the LA Lakers for broken Anthony Davis, then maybe, just maybe, the Cincinnati Bengals could lose their minds and take Kyler on. I won't pretend to know what the trade package would be that we can get from the Bengals, but there's pros for both sides. Starting with Arizona, you get rid of the contract. Great cap, cap reset, I guess, for lack of a better term. You gain draft capital if you're able to, because you would have to get some draft picks back, and finally move on cleanly from a quarterback that clearly you didn't believe in. You can draft your next quarterback in 2026 if you want to, and build around a cheap, build around cheap young talent, which I know is music to Michael Bidwell's cheap ass ears. But if you can somehow get back maybe like a T. Higgins, and I know. T. Higgins is their wide receiver too, right? But it's not like we can't ask for Jamar Chase because they ain't gonna give him up. But maybe a T. Higgins or something like that, or a solid receiver that can give you that we can give to the next quarterback, right? Give him another reliable target. Hopefully that quarterback's 6'3", 6'4", something like that. For Cincinnati, you can get instant insurance if Burrow's body continues to betray him. Joe Burrow is out right now with a turf toe, right? But he constantly misses games because that O-line can't protect him. Kyler Murray's mobile. He can kind of mitigate a little bit of that. You can actually kind of scheme around a bad offensive line. We've tried to do that here, 3-4 seasons in a row, something like that. I think just off the top of my head. And it kind of worked early on. It just ain't working right now. And we have a decent O-line right now. It's not great. It's not perfect, but it's better than we've had in a minute. Now imagine Murray stepping into Zach Taylor's spread offense with Jamar Chase, right? That receiving core is pretty good. That offense, the offense stays alive even if Burrow needs a full year off the heel. Now, again, that's a very expensive insurance policy. Totally agree. But again, we're playing hypotheticals here. So let's just pretend for a second that they're willing to do it. In my mind, for both teams, they get the win. Arizona gets flexibility. Cincinnati gets stability. And it's rare that a blockbuster trade feels logical for both sides. But this one, I think it could work if they really wanted to make it happen. And maybe we get crazy. Maybe they go, hey, Kyler for Joe Burrow. If you're a Cardinals fan, Do you not take Joe Burrow, let him sit for as long as he needs to get physically healed up and everything, and then install a new system that a guy like Joe Burrow can move, a traditional pocket passer? I'm not against that. Because getting rid of Kyler now and going for a rookie quarterback in the draft is another rebuild. It's years. If you somehow got him to send you Joe Burrow back for Kyler Murray, that could be like one of those like gambles that could pay off, right? So anyway, Kyler in black and orange be weird, but I think 6 months from now, like it might be the bold move both teams need to save their franchises. Who knows? Is it far fetched? Yeah, of course. And as a Cardinals fan, I'm just rattling my brain for a solution to this quarterback problem that we have in hopes that a new rebuild won't take as long as this 7-year one has. Who has 7-year rebuilds? We do, folks. The Arizona Cardinals, rebuild forever. We're a constant rebuild. I mean, this is worse than the Browns. The Browns are constantly rebuilding. Gee, at this point, I would take Shedeur Sanders. I was saying Kyler. And look, I'm not going to lie to you guys. The Browns are definitely one of the teams I'm looking at to trade Kyler to, and that will be here in the next few days, few weeks, whatever it is. But we're definitely going to talk about it here. And eventually, I am going to start talking about college quarterbacks because that's definitely something we need to start looking at. And there are some names. I've been doing my research now. I've been watching a lot of more college football. I got a couple of names I think could be interesting as long as we don't try to get them in the first round. But we'll talk about that later on, all right? Comments on Friday, of course, folks. That's going to do it for this episode of Cardinals Daily. I'm Eddie Cuevas. Don't forget to hit that sub, hit that bell, hit that like, leave a comment. I'll see you guys tomorrow for more Cardinals Daily. Make sure you follow on the socials right here. Stuff going up every single day. Graphics, posts, videos, whatever you're looking for on those accounts on X and Instagram. Hit them up. Hit them with a follow. I'll follow you back. Just make sure you comment on one of the posts and let me know that you got it from here from the show. And make sure you get a follow back on that one. All right. See you guys tomorrow. Go Cardinals.